Today, on the Bearded Movie Guy, he looks at Amazing Spider-Man 2, again, with spoilers. Brought to you by the Bearded Movie Guy. On the Bearded Movie Guy, today we're looking at Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spoilers Edition. There was a bunch of stuff that bugged me in this film. I really want to tell you about it. Here we go. Okay, first off, let's just look. The plot was okay, but it seemed kind of silly that it was Spider-Man off again, on again, off again, with Gwen Stacy. It seemed played out 5 minutes in. Their characters are fine. Like, their acting is fine. It's just the plot seemed to just require them to have this in order to move things along, but it would have been better if it wasn't there, if they were either just together or not together. Even if she wanted to move to England, it would have been better if she was together with him and wanting to move to England, not having to have that whole, well, he can't be with you because I want to move to England and you're Spider-Man. I just wish they skipped all that. Alright, what other things bug me? Electro bugged me before pre-Electro is Max, because he just seems so kind of unbelievable as this guy who's super obsessed with Spider-Man that he just happens to turn into Electro. It seems sad. I know you're supposed to empathize with him and root for him, but the whole singing happy birthday to himself in front of the Spider-Man thing was just creepy. And yeah.
I need an adult! I need an adult!
Now, once Electro shows up, I loved the fact of Electro, the way he looked, and when he's standing in Times Square and sees all the things, and he's just like, it's me, and it's awesome. That's great. And his first fight with Spider-Man I really liked. I thought it was pretty cool that he was just confused, and then he got really angry because Spider-Man stole his spotlight. That worked. And them going back and forth, and he busts the web shooters. That was kind of cool. But Spider-Man takes him down with the fire department. That was kind of cool. And he does the whole with the hose. Robocopped it. Okay, here's the thing. The police had to take him away, I'm assuming. Oscorp couldn't have rushed in and done it because they had no right to. So how did he end up in a prison being worked on by Oscorp guys? Where's the government? Are you telling me that the US government had an electric guy in the middle of Times Square, which everyone saw and put on YouTube, and they just went, well, I don't know what happened to him. I guess we won't research him for further use. Don't tell me that they were doing that, because that was Oscorp doing that. And that's how they did the whole CEO, we're going to tarnish Harry later thing, which was also stupid. So where were they? How did they just take him? I don't understand that. That seems silly. Now, I could totally see the government doing those experiments on him. But how did Oscorp get the right to do that crap? I just don't see it. I really didn't like the fact that Peter Parker's dad had a hidden lab inside a subway car underneath a subway station that was closed down for years. Who paid for that?
I'm the decider.
Because the whole thought was he did it secretly, but he wasn't rich. You can't say that Oscorp funded it because Oscorp would have wanted to know where the money was going. And, well, like, where was this secret lab? There's no way he just got funding for that crap. So where did he get it? It just seemed a silly thing just to throw in there. Oh, by the way, he had a secret lab in a subway. Why? That's very impractical. And thank God he had the tokens in the calculator. Spidey sense. Spidey sense seems to work and doesn't work. It's the same problem with the first movie. There's a scene with Peter and Gwen when they're doing the whole cutesy thing together, and Peter's like, you can't touch your nose like that, ground rules, and all this blah, 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 and they're going back and forth. It's adorable. But then all of a sudden, Peter gets this feeling and looks off. And Electro's in Times Square. That's not how Spidey sense works. Spidey sense is not this all-encompassing thing that tells him something's going on half a city away. Spidey sense is directly related to him in imminent danger. Spider-Man was not in any imminent danger when he's sitting there talking to Gwen Stacy, and there was no need for him to all of a sudden. Now, he could have heard something. I would have been fine if they're like, hey, there's some guy blowing up Times Square. And he rushes off. But that's not what Spider Sense does. Spider Sense is not this thing that's going to warn him about impending doom to the city blocks and blocks and blocks away. It's all about him. He's about to be hit. His Spidey Sense warns him, and he gets out of the way like Spider-Man does. It isn't this thing that's a radar for trouble far away. That bugged me. The CEO takeover thing with the whole, oh, we forged your signature, and now we're kicking you out of Oscorp and firing you. That was just dumb. It's silly. Now, I liked how Dane DeHaan, his character, like Harry Osborn, went to Electro and used him and all that kind of stuff to get back in. But it was dumb. That's not how businesses work. You can't just walk in with a couple security guards and be like, by the way, you're fired from your multi-billion-dollar corporation. You know, it doesn't work like that. Didn't you get the memo? Come on, it's like, that was way better. The scene where Spider-Man puts the webs together and then completes the circuit and saves the city. I understand his web shooters were magnetized and that they could survive Electro's blast, but his webs were not. When he was trying to fix it, his webs were getting fried and turned on fire. When he joined those things together, those webs should have burst into flames, and that shouldn't have fixed anything. And now, maybe some science guy is going to be like, hey, bearded movie guy, you don't understand the propulsion of the electrodes of the... I don't care. I'm not a scientist. I'm not even a science geek. But I can figure out that that shouldn't have worked. And with that, there was this whole plane thing that was totally unnecessary. Aunt May's in the hospital, and the hospital goes down, and the planes are going to crash into each other. Spider-Man had no clue, unless they want to talk about his spidey sense being able to detect planes going to crash into each other miles off like shore in New York. He had no clue that was happening. So how does that relate to the story at all? Spider-Man couldn't have saved that. He wasn't trying to beat a deadline. It wasn't a ticking clock that he's like, if I don't join the circuit right now, those planes are going to crash. No, he had freaking no clue those planes were even there. Why waste time on that just to build tension? Focus on Spider-Man. You have a Spider-Man movie. We don't need planes. Unless he can save the planes like Superman can, which he's never going to be able to do because Spider-Man's cool but can't save a plane from falling. What's the point? It's just, oh, we'll add tension this way. You have a Spider-Man movie. Add tension with Spider-Man. The Green Goblin. I just don't think it needed to be there. I understand Green Goblin killed Gwen Stacy in the original comics, and this is the big deal. They should have set it up for the next one, or they should have found a different way to do it, because he was just kind of shoehorned in there. It was just like, oh, and by the way, we're going to have him in there and be all crazy all of a sudden because he had the spider venom, and it just seemed really forced. Setting him up for the next film didn't bother me, but putting him in this one, having him be the one that comes in last second, not being important for the whole film about that, and then all of a sudden showing up and killing Gwen Stacy is pretty freaking idiotic. Last but not least, the Rhino. My daughter was mad about this. She was just like, all right, the Rhino. Now let's talk about the Rhino. That whole scene, there's a couple things in that scene. If you have a giant mechanized beast blowing up a street, the police do not just cordon off and allow people to stand there and watch. People don't just stand there and watch. They run for their lives when a giant guy in a mechanical suit is shooting police officers. They don't watch like it's a spectator sport. They definitely don't watch with their kids. I'm sorry, that mother deserves to have her kid taken away from her. Why was she watching with her son? Other than, we need this to be a cutesy moment to bring back Spider-Man. It was so stupid. Now, look at the Rhino. He looked awful. I had thoughts of what the Rhino was going to look like, and I liked the Rhino when I was a kid, and in the comics and in the TV show with the, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Like, sure, he was cheesy as anything, but it just looked ridiculous. You could barely even tell it was a Rhino, and then Paul Giamatti? What a waste of a good actor. And what was with the tattoo thing on his head? I just don't understand. And then to have it be the closing scene of the movie, my daughter was just like, that's it? There's no fight? She's like, I was promised 3 villains. To her, that was like a big deal. She wanted to see 3 villains in Spider-Man. I was like, I don't want to see 3 villains in Spider-Man. Well, guess what? We kind of got 1.5 villains and like 10 seconds of the Rhino. And you don't even see that fight. All in all, I didn't hate Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I didn't love it in any stretch. It's very forgettable. It's very boring in parts. And just, it could have been so much better. You have Spider-Man. And Sony just keeps on dropping the ball. When I was a kid, if you had told me a Captain America movie would be way better than a Spider-Man movie, I would have told you you're lying. But the Captain America movie was 10 times better than the Spider-Man movie. If you do my math. But I'm not very good at math. But that's beside the point. You're wasting Spider-Man, Sony. Do us all a favor and give him back to Marvel. Make him an Avenger. Let it be. I don't even want a Sinister Six movie. Forget it. Who cares? It's a villain movie. How does a villain movie work exactly? You just have a whole bunch of villains getting together. It's like, is it like Ocean's 11 of villains? And then it ends with them about to kill Spider-Man, and then like that's the next movie, Amazing Spider-Man 3? I don't understand. Anyways, this has been my rant. Spoilers. Tell me what you think. What bothered you? What did you think was awesome? Because there was some cool stuff in there, but it's just, it left a bad taste in my mouth where I was just like, this could have been so much better, and it wasn't. So, comment below, subscribe, like, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. And until next time, stay bearded, everyone. You've been watching the Bearded Movie Guy. Boy, he had some things to say about Amazing Spider-Man 2. It sounds like he didn't like Amazing Spider-Man 2 all that much. What do you think? Do you think he's right? Could he be? Is his beard that awesome that he knows all? I don't know. Maybe you do. Until next time, YouTube safely.